Why, Johnny, why? That's the question everyone's asking me. I've always been very open and very honest with the NXT universe. If you ask, I will tell. Alistair, talk about a path. A path you're on. I'm on a path too. Does this look familiar? This was the path I took the night you were found laying. The end of that path leads me to Tommaso Ciampa. The end of that path leads me to righting a wrong, fulfilling a promise, and me being the one to beat Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship. You got in the way. Collateral damage. Nothing personal. I'd like to think you'd appreciate that. Seeing as you walk around here like you own the place, black mask whoever you want, no one bats an eye. Talking about how no man is ever truly good. No man is ever truly evil. I feel bad for you. You're confused. That's sad. I know exactly who I am. I'm the good guy. I'm the hero at the end of this story. I do one thing. One little thing that some people may consider, and everyone freaks out. Calm your words. I'm still the same Johnny Gargano I always have been. I still fight for what's right. What I've learned is, sometimes, around here, you gotta fight a little dirty. So that's why, Alistair. Now I know, you probably want to kick my face off now. That's fine. I accept that. Maybe I deserve that. But after everything I've been through, I'm not scared of you. I live in a dark, dark place, Alistair. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. Actually, I look familiar? Same spot I left you laying. Take over War Games. Again.
That was the explanation from Johnny Gargano on why he attacked Aleister Black. And definitely not the explanation I was expecting, but definitely a good explanation overall. Great promo by Johnny Gargano. Great. It was one of the few cell phone camera videos that I actually appreciated and liked about it. And he did say, in the course it was, why did he attack Aleister Black? Because he got in the way on his path to get back what in right a wrong that he made, and that was the NXT Championship. So we do have that match coming up at NXT TakeOver War Games. We also tonight had a match named for NXT TakeOver War Games where it will be Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane for the NXT Women's Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This is going to be an NXT and NXT UK review. We will talk about NXT in more detail than we will NXT UK. The reason, as I said yesterday, the reason I'm doing this is because, first off, NXT UK is 2 hours now instead of 1, and NXT UK it's like the baby step, it's like when a new brand is born, it's like a new baby. First you crawl, then you walk, then you run, then you get your NXT TakeOver. NXT UK is now in the crawling stages, where it's just getting off the ground. They're not really building towards anything yet, like a takeover. And quite honestly, NXT UK hasn't been around enough to get an NXT takeover for itself. That should be coming around probably, I'd say, after WrestleMania or after SummerSlam, as they build themselves up, because they are just getting started. We did have in NXT UK, which we will get to tonight, the explanation and a little talk from the faction of the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang along with the first hour's main event, which was for the UK Championship, Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch, and in the second hour with Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster and Ashton Smith versus the Coffees and Wolfgang. So 3 great hours of NXT and NXT UK overall. So what did NXT start off with? Immediately we started off with action, with Heavy Machinery taking on the Forgotten Sons, who have not been seen since they won a 6-man tag match against a bunch of jobbers. This was pretty much their first real test since the Street Profits, which they won because of TM61 or the Mighty. Heavy Machinery is still one of the most over factions over teams in NXT. I would like to see these guys get a chance to vie again for the NXT championships and tag team championships and maybe win them this time. But with like the War Raiders and the Street Profits coming up and other teams as well, it's going to probably be hard for them to get a footing in the race for the tag team championships. Heavy Machinery ended up winning this one in a good back and forth. Otis Dojovic did take majority of the heat in this match, with Tucker Knight finally tagging in. They win they tried to go for the compactor, and the Forgotten Sons blocked that, and they ended up winning, I think, with a 1-man compactor for the 3 count. Candice LeRae is in the back, is showing up to the Performance Center or to Full Sail, and she is being asked about what happened last week with Nikki Cross, and she's like, "I'm not here to be exploited this week. I have question 2 from Nikki Cross," and she wouldn't answer them. So I'm here for Mr. Regal to ask him to give me a match against Nikki Cross. She didn't say when, but I'm expecting TakeOver because, quite honestly, right now we have 2 title matches, War Games, and Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. That's 4 matches. I guess that'd be fine, but I would like to see Candice LeRae versus Nikki Cross. Give the women in two matches on the show. Why not? As I said before, Regal made Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane 3 in NXT, 4 overall, 4 NXT TakeOver War Games because Kairi Sane then invoked her rematch clause in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I expect Kairi Sane to regain the title. The biggest thing about that scene was she was with her 4 horsemen stablemates of Jessica Nuke and Marina Shafir. They did make their debuts for NXT at Evolution. When will they make their NXT in-ring debuts on the NXT shows? Will they accompany Shayna Baszler to the ring for the 2 out of 3 falls match? Or will they get involved to help Shayna Baszler pick up the fall, to make it a 3-match fall instead of 2 straight for one or 2 straight for the other? When will these two? Because I hear, and it's been talked about a lot, that Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir are leagues ahead of everybody else in NXT. They are just fast learners, and they are doing great things for NXT. So we could possibly see them move up and get to the main roster, the main NXT roster, and then eventually move up to the main roster, so we will eventually get that 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match that WWE would love to get. And I think that's going to happen next year after post-Superstar shakeup, when all 4 women from the from the 4 horsewomen in WWE end up on the same roster. We had Dakota Kai versus Tanaya Conti. This match was just basically a certified squash. In the end, Dakota Kai wins with the chiropractor, which is the code red backstabber that she's been using, as Nigel McGuinness called it, the chiropractor. I don't know who came up with that, but that is what I'm going with. Mia Yim is being interviewed by, I believe it's Kathy Kelly, about her excitement of being here in NXT. She's excited because she gets to train in the Performance Center. She gets to do all this stuff when Bianca Belair comes in and interrupts her thing and says, "Why are you interviewing this chick? You should be interviewing me, and remember that I am undefeated." Mia Yim's like, "I don't know what your anger is with me, but we can settle this in the ring." And it has been confirmed that next week we will have Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair. Will Mia Yim knock off Bianca Belair and put the first one in the loss column for Bianca Belair. We already showed Gargano's side of the story. I am definitely looking forward to Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black. That could quite possibly be one of the match of the year candidates from NXT. We already have Gargano versus Almas, the 6-man ladder match from NXT TakeOver New Orleans. We had Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano from TakeOver New Orleans. Aleister Black versus Adam Cole from NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. I would put in there too. And I would go with a couple other ones too that I can't think of off the top of my head, but definitely could not wait for NXT TakeOver War Games as we get closer and closer to it. Speaking of next week, we are going to have a singles match from one member from Team Undisputed Era versus a member of the team of War Raiders. The War Raiders team will go one-on-one with each other. The winner of that match, their team will have the advantage in the War Games match. And the obvious answer to who's going to win that match is going to be whoever comes from Undisputed Era. Whether it's Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, or Kyle O'Reilly, the winner of that match is going to be Undisputed Era. It makes sense. They are the projected heels. They are the actual heels going into this match. And quite honestly, for a War Games match, the heels should always have the advantage. So whoever faces whoever next week, the Undisputed Era is going to win because it just makes sense. We had the Velveteen Dream versus Lars Sullivan. Velveteen Dream came out like a house of fire all over Lars Sullivan from the start. It looked like he made Lars Sullivan probably question going after him and wanting to break his face. Lars does get back to it in about 4 minutes of offense from Dream. Dream does finally, towards the end, hit the Dream Valley Driver after a couple of attempts. Goes up for the Purple Rainmaker when all of a sudden Tommaso Ciampa is walking down, holding his title, and saying something to the Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream jumps down off the top rope and takes out Tommaso Ciampa, runs back into the ring, and runs straight into a freak accident for the 1, 2, 3. And Lars Sullivan beats Velveteen Dream. Some people are probably wondering why did Velveteen Dream lose going into a title match? He didn't lose clean. He got screwed over because of Tommaso Ciampa, so he's not looking weak. And there's no reason why he lost. So anybody wondering why did they have him lose? It makes sense because you're not really going to want to beat Lars Sullivan in a one-on-one singles match. Earlier in the night, we did also have a promo package for War Games with the Undisputed Era and the Babyface team talking about the match. Of course, all 4 members of the Undisputed Era were in War Games last year. As you remember, it was Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly versus Sanity versus Roderick Strong and the Authors of Pain. So the only 4 guys, the team of the Undisputed Era, have the clear advantage because of War Games, because they were there last year, all 4 of them. Again, looking forward to that match. When it comes to the end of the year and you have all these content creators sitting out there saying this match is going to be match of the year, the War Games match is probably going to be on a list of top 10 matches of the year because these 2 teams are going to steal the entire weekend. And when it comes to TakeOver War Games 2018, it would be like, what is your top match outside of War Games? Because War Games is going to be one of those matches that everybody's looking forward to. I know I am. It's going to be great, and I'm glad they're doing traditional War Games. Traditional War Games, which is 4-on-5 versus 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 instead of 3v3v3 like they did last year, which was fine to introduce the match, but to go to the traditional, and maybe we can get a ceiling this year. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Ciampa comes into the ring and starts attacking the Dream. He says, "I'm the champ. You don't share my spotlight, my main event. you're not on my level, Dream. Ciampa goes for his I think they call it the Dream Crusher, but Dream gets out of that, hits the twisting DDT onto the title, goes to go up for the Purple Rainmaker, but a bunch of refs come in and get him down. He's starting to go up the ramp, then he runs back down and says, you know what, screw this, I'm going to hit this. Hits the Purple Rainmaker, grabs the championship, and celebrates in the ring for a moment. Anybody who knows Wrestling 101 knows that all his actions after hitting the Purple Rainmaker just tells you that he's not winning the championship. So NXT, another excellent show. Very curious with Johnny Gargano's explanation. It does, I guess, make sense that he did not want a triple threat match at TakeOver Brooklyn. He wanted one-on-one. He got one-on-one and he couldn't get the job done. Moving over to week one, the first week of NXT UK, or the first hour. We started off with Dave Mastiff versus, I just named him Victim Number 2 because he had Victim Number 1 on the first episode of NXT. He just destroyed this guy. I didn't even get his name, and Dave Mastiff won after. I said this about something else, but you could not pay me all the money in the world to take that cannonball from Dave Mastiff in the corner. You could not pay me a single dime, like all the money in the world, to even take that, or any attempt to take that. That looks horrendously brutal. And Dave Mastiff is just somebody that, honestly, I think might be built to be an NXT UK champion. Ligero faced off against James Drake, and before I talk about this, I've seen and watched El Ligero wrestle for about 2 years, from What Culture Pro Wrestling to Defiant Wrestling to where he is now. I absolutely hate the fact that WWE took the character, the specialness of El Ligero, and took the L off his name, and he went from being from Los Santos, Mexico, to Leeds, which he's actually from Leeds. He is a British wrestler, but his character was from Los Santos, Mexico. He speaks Spanish, he doesn't know a lick of English, and he was pretty much just like the British version of El Generico. That's what he was. El Generico, of course, was Sami Zayn, and he was a generic luchador. Pretty much the same with El Ligero, even though he's not exactly the same, but pretty much in the same vein. They took him and they just, we're going to make you talk, you're going to speak English, you're going to be from Leeds, and we're going to take your entire character and we're going to throw it all away and just start all over with you. Absolutely hate it. They did not need to do that. He had the perfect character for himself. The fact that they changed El Ligero to just Ligero, why not just take the mask off him? Why not just have him change his name to something else? What was the point of having him keep his mask, his luchador mask, if you're just going to change his entire character? I think it was wrong, and I think it was stupid. It takes the specialness from El Ligero, and just makes him just not what he should have been. I don't know. It's just something that kind of irks me. Ligero wins this one with the L5-4, that spinning DDT, that's off the middle rope spinning DDT for the 3 count. Then we had what was going to be Ashton Smith having a match, when that just did not happen in this first hour of NXT, as the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang come out to absolutely destroy Ashton Smith, and then Mark Coffey and Wolfgang didn't say anything. Joe Coffey lays down along the law of their new kingdom. So before we get into that, is that faction going to be called the Kingdom? Because I'm pretty sure Ring of Honor already has a faction called the Kingdom. I don't know.
Wait a second. That's the Coffees and Wolfgang. Mark and Joe, the Coffee Brothers, and we talk about destruction. These guys are just decimating. And Wolfgang literally just tossed Ashton Smith to the back. ever since then, myself and my brother have been imposing our will on everyone and anyone. The whole mantra for this brand, we are NXT UK. You see, I see NXT UK as a hierarchy, and if you are not on our level, then we will dispose of your weakness. There is no more British strong style, and there certainly will not be any more big strong boys. That's okay. Like I said, no one likes us, and we do not care. From now on, it's a pack mentality. You know what that means? Divide and conquer. Pride, unity. Because this is our kingdom!
And of course, the beatdown of Action Smith will lead to the main event of the second hour, as after this we saw Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews in the back outside of Johnny Saint's office when Action Smith joined them as they went into Johnny Saint's office to request a match against the, I guess, Kingdom? The Irish Kingdom, or whatever they want to call themselves. Yep, I don't know where they're going with that, but it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know what I got to say about another three-man faction. I mean, we did have Undisputed Era was three-man for a good while, but now it's a four-man group. It just, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it goes for NXT UK's new faction. Eddie Dennis made his debut after episodes, I should say, about 4 weeks of, or 3 weeks. It was, 4 weeks of tapings in a 3-week span. And I'm going to say, I've never seen Eddie Dennis wrestle before. Like, I've never seen Eddie Dennis wrestle before, or any, like, outside of his things where he was, like, sitting down. This dude is one tall motherfucker, I'm telling you what. I did not expect him to look that tall. He went up against Sid Scala, or victim number 1 to Dave Mastiff, who he destroyed in the first week. Another squiggy squash match, he wins this one. Sid Scala did get a little bit more offense on Eddie Dennis than he did on Dave Mastiff, which he got absolutely none. But boy, oh boy, Eddie Dennis, like, he won this match, and I'm going to say Eddie Dennis impressed me, just not in his size, but the fact that he definitely, he's going to be someone to wait and look and watch and see what he does, because it was, again, a squash match, and I hate enhancement talent matches. I know why they do them, to get talent over, but you just don't get to see what a talent can do with just a squash match. I mean, Dave Mastiff, it makes sense because he's a big dude who should not be squashing like a Danny Burch or a Flash Morgan Webster or something like that. But Eddie Dennis, like, I don't know. He's definitely going to be someone I'm going to keep my eye on. He was definitely impressive against Sid Scala. And again, I didn't realize he was that freaking tall. And then became the first main event of the night, Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch. This was one hell of a brutal, stiff match. These guys beat the hell out of each other. Danny Burch said he told Pete Dunne in, I believe it was last week, the week before that, in tapings, that he's been doing British Strong Style while back before Pete Dunne was even wrestling. These guys showed you what British Strong Style was. It definitely was a great match. Am I going to say match of the candidate? No. But definitely was worth watching. My only question is with the fact that Danny Burch did not win this match and Pete Dunne just seemed to barely get a bitter end off. And like this match ended, I thought he was going to win this by the bitter end like he has every time before. But no. He hits the bitter end. 1, 2, kick out. He puts Danny Burch in a triangle. And it looked like he was going to get hit, like Danny Burch was going to try and get a pin. But no. Pete Dunne starts doing his joint manipulation. Danny Burch gets on his back with Pete Dunne having his legs grapevine around him. So Pete Dunne snaps the pinky and the index finger, and then just takes his middle and ring finger and just starts bending them back. And Danny Burch has no choice but to tap out. Yes, that looked like that hurts, because have you ever had someone just like have a firm grip on two of your fingers and just bend them back? It ain't fun. You had joint manipulation all through this match. Kicks the Shayna Baszler stomp on the shoulder, on the elbow by Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne just was destroying and dismantling everything about Danny Burch's left arm. Danny Burch did get a good bit of stiff shots on this dude. This was a hell of a match. I am going to say, out of the 2 championship matches that have happened so far, I'm going to say that Noam Dar versus Pete Dunne was a better match overall compared to this one. Week 2 started off strong with Dakota Kai versus Toni Storm. This was definitely a great women's match. They got, I believe, 10-15 minutes, and by the end of this match, you had Evolution chants, you had women's wrestling chants. The crowd was hot for this match. They did this week a little bit better with the commentary while splicing these 2 weeks together. And then, of course, they did before this match, congratulate but Toni Storm for winning the Mae Young Classic. So it's just onward and upward. Toni Storm ended up winning this one. Dakota Kai did hit a crescent moon, the crescent moonsault, where she goes from one corner and does a half, like almost a full rotation around the ring to hit it. After Toni Storm hit her with an elbow and then tried to run back and do another move, she goes for the face wash in the corner and misses it. Toni Storm does hit the legit Storm Zero, which is that neck breaker on that package neck breaker onto her knee for the 3 count. Give me more of these two. Give me more of these two. Post match, they shake hands, they embrace. Dakota Kai is leaving, and almost anytime you see the camera point up to the ramp or whatever they use to enter the arena, somebody is going to get blindsided or attacked or something. And that's what happened. Ginny, who has been promoted for the last 4 weeks on NXT UK TV, had made her debut by blindsiding and beating the tar out of Dakota Kai. She stares down Toni Storm, who is still in the ring, and says, "This is my NXT." Walks off. Toni Storm checks on Dakota Kai and helps her off. Zach Gibson versus Amir Jordan. Not much you can say here. Zach Gibson wins this one after his helter-skelter into the Shangri Gates for the tap out. He did not let go immediately afterwards. And then eventually, they go to commercial break. They come back, and Zach Gibson grabs the microphone and pretty much says everything he said a couple weeks before that, until Trent Seven comes out and starts talking and starts getting trashed, starts pretty much talking and mocking Zach Gibson. And then once a match between himself and Trent and Zach Gibson, but Zach Gibson bails because he already had a match and wasn't like, hey, I ain't wrestling 2 matches in a row. So expect next week, which I believe they are in Birmingham next week, or in a new place next week. So I think this was the last 2 episodes on these set of NXT tapings. They will be moving on to the next world. Kenny Williams makes his NXT UK debut against Jordan Devlin. Pretty good back and forth match between these two. Jordan Devlin ends up picking up the victory on Kenny Williams with, I don't remember what he called his finisher. It was like I think it was like a Death by the Driver or something like that. And before we got to the main events, they did let us know that next week, Johnny Saint will have an announcement that will, on the future of NXT UK. I think they're from Birmingham or somewhere, Edinburgh or one of those ones. So I'm pretty sure that is going to be the NXT UK Women's Championship that is going to be introduced finally. The NXT Women's Championship will be introduced into continuity next week. I'm calling it. Hopefully these two episodes a week will be done after this week. I don't know why they did this, but they did it for a reason. Hopefully it stops, because we don't need to have 2 episodes. If you're going to do an hour full of NXT UK, then when they do the tapings, have Triple H do 2 episodes in one night and 2 episodes in the next night, so we only have 2 hours. Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, and Ashley Smith took on the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang in the main event. This was a good 6-man tag match. It was definitely nowhere close to what we had in hour 1, which of course it's going to be hard to beat Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch with any match in the main event. The Coffees and Wolfgang end up winning this match after a pretty good 6-man tag match. Definitely can't wait to see what happens with the heel faction, and please tell me they're not going to be called the Kingdom, or This Is Our Kingdom. Give us a good name. Maybe we want to call them the Irish Kingdom, that's fine. NXT UK definitely has a lot to build towards. Not really. I don't know what else they're going to build towards. My question is, coming out of these last 2 sets from Cambridge, I believe they were at, who is going to beat Pete Dunne for the NXT UK Championship? He is at 539 days, because it is going to be past midnight by the time this goes up. 539 days. That, of course, is the longest reigning championship reign in all of WWE since, I'm going to say Hulk Hogan. Yeah, Hulk Hogan back in the WWE days, WWF days. It is definitely the longest reigning championship reign in WWE right now. Hopefully Brock Lesnar doesn't go that far. We'll talk about that this Saturday. Who's going to beat Pete Dunne for the NXT UK Championship? I believe it is time for someone else to be given a chance to be the NXT UK champion. Pete Dunne's held it long enough. I know we're not going to see a UK Championship change until probably next year, which is I don't know. So, again, NXT UK still got a long way to go. Anybody who's like, where's their takeover match? Where's their takeover show? They're going to be represented by Pete Dunne in the War Games match, and that's all they're going to get right now. They don't deserve to have a UK takeover yet. They just started building this brand. They got a long way to go. But that is going to be your NXT and NXT UK review. I can't wait to see what happens and who's going to be facing who next week in NXT, to see who gets the advantage, which I still say is going to be the Undisputed Era. It just makes sense. They are the heel team. They should have the advantage like they had. I believe it was last year. They had the advantage for, about 2 minutes. So we're definitely going to I cannot wait for War Games, and we will definitely see how that goes. Find me on Twitter at TheFrance. Find me on Facebook. Not Facebook. Twitch.tv/TheFrance08. I will be back here Saturday for Unscripted. We have things to talk about when it comes to the new contract for Brock Lesnar, and so much more. Make sure to find me on Saturday. It will be up noon Eastern Standard Time, as it is every single week, unless things get in the way, then it'll be up on Sunday. But we will be up on Saturday this week. NXT getting close to War Games. Cannot wait. 1 more week to go. War Games can't come soon enough. As for NXT UK, we still got a long way to go. Until then, my name is France. I will see you guys later, and you have a good one.